Hey everyone, Ed from Templafy here, with another episode of Agents in Action. Today I'm going to talk about custom agents. Now, I'm sure we've all been sat there at some point knowing that we have this huge document we need to build and dreading the thought of peeling apart some document built in the past that's the same, or having to go ahead and start from scratch as well. That's where Templafy comes in. So in this case, I'm going to get started. I'm going to go through the normal flow that I normally do to talk with my agent, but this time I'm going to select something else. I'm going to select proposal agent. And you'll notice for this, I'm just going to say just build. And what you'll see on the back end of that is some additional information. It knows it's a proposal, but fine, we selected the proposal agent, so that'd be expected. But it's then asking who the prospect's for. So I'm just going to use a made-up company we have here at Templafy called Skyford Samuels, and then I'm just going to say just build again. Now, you're probably thinking, hang on a minute, how does the agent already know this? Like, where did it get this information from? Is it read my mind or something? And as much as I'd like to say yes to that, it hasn't read your mind. What it's done and what we've done and what you can do is we can create agents that are specifically configured and instructed to build certain kinds of documents. So what that means for you is that if you have a document in mind that you know takes a lot of time or is super complex to build, we can actually give the agency instructions to go ahead and build that for you. And that works with a few different things because unlike other AI tools, where you go ahead and you kind of have to throw whatever you want and hope for the best, with our agent, we're actually going to give it a lot of what it needs to go ahead and be great for what you're looking to do. And that comes down to three different components. The first is the template. Now, different complex documents use different kinds of templates, so we want to make sure it's got the right content. The second is the knowledge. Who's your company? What kind of agent? What does a proposal look like at your company? Things that you would inform like an employee of, we need to inform the agent of. And then data. Typically, we see a lot of these complex documents pulling in things from your CRM, your ERP, and to save you the job of sifting through it, we're going to go ahead and just give that to the agent. Anyway, as you can see here, we've got a great little structure and an outline of what's going to be built for me. It's a proposal structure, so it's going to intro things with an exec summary, some stuff about the client I'm speaking to, some strategic responses to this, overview, objectives, pillars, recommendations, all that good stuff. I feel like a buzzword king today. Implementation plan, timeline, all that good stuff. Right. So I'm pretty happy with this. Look, I can go in and make some edits to the content brief or to the slide title, or I can entirely change it if I actually want to. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and say create. And while this is creating and putting together my proposal for me, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about these components that I mentioned. So when it comes to the template, we don't just want to upload something that, the agent just sort of has and can use as it wants to. We want to actually describe to the agent how it should use it. And that's what's going on as sort of part one, you could say, of saying this slide here, this is great for executive summaries, or this is great for pricing, whatever it may be. So we're giving that instruction. Number two is this knowledge piece. Now, there's obviously like the basic stuff of who your company is and who you are and what you do and all that jazz that can either be fed in sort of in some AI tools by the internet or whatever, which is sort of up to the determination of the internet then, or we can be more structured around it, which is what we do here at Templafy. So you can say, hey, this knowledge source here, this needs to be used for this purpose, and this is something I control. It could be a SharePoint folder, for example, full of your best proposals you ever built. You could say, here agent, take this and use this to create amazing proposals every single time. That's one form of doing it. Another way of doing it is saying, look, here's a load of information about our team as an example. When you're asking about who the team members need to be, please use this as the knowledge source. And then finally, this data piece. Now, it's commonly talked about this sort of, how can I make sure that when I give an agent some quite, you could say rigid or compliant data, that it doesn't start messing around with it. The way that we approach that is we actually instruct the agent when it takes data from one of your sources on exactly how it needs to use it. And what this does is it really limits the fact that it could do something or change it or hallucinate over it or whatever it may be. This means ultimately that when the data is being used, it gets input correctly. And this is really, really important because if you had an agent mucking around with your pricing and added a zero, or you've got some legal disclaimers and it changes the wording, your company could get into quite hot water, and maybe you as well, which we don't want to happen. So with these three components working together, what we do with the agent, so here's the template, here's how you need to use it, here's the knowledge, and within that template, it can kind of understand, okay, this is where knowledge needs to go in the template, so on and so forth. And then with that data bit, we can say, look, here's a bit of data. Don't mess around with it, or muck around with it, as I would say back home in the UK. Just put it in this particular place for me, please. And it will go ahead and do that. And that's what it's doing at the moment. It's using these three pillars, and we sort of see as a triangle here at Templafy to make our custom agents super successful. And you can take this as far and as broad as you want, or you can make it specific as you want, which is the real power of getting your agents to deliver a document that is exactly what you expect. So with that, the agent's now done. So let's take a look at what it's put together. So as you can see, followed the structure that we were presented earlier. It's talked a bit about strategic partnership, and it's, given us a bit of an executive summary here of what matters and the rapidly changing industry associated with this. It's talked about some business goals, and some of the knowledge I put in talks about this 12 to 24 months. So that's great. It's put that in there. It's highlighted the challenges correctly, which is the operation landscape and things like that, and highlighted some of the key points. And as you can see, it's broadly speaking put in the structure I need and put together this proposal for me, which is great. It's followed the instructions I had in my knowledge source around how we do implementation here, which is really great. And ultimately for me, I'm kind of like ready to go ahead, and I'll make some amendments to it, of course. But I mean, I think about how long it would take me to build a proposal, and I'm no PowerPoint wizard, so it'd take me weeks probably instead of AI doing it, whereas this took a couple of minutes. So that's our custom agent. Love for you to reach out if you think this could be relevant for yourselves. But other than that, I'll see you in the next episode.